Alright folks, the British booms and the French zooms, a comparison between the French EBRs and the new British wheel medium tanks. Well, technically armored cars, but the difference is practically night and day. The EBRs fits a niche of active scouting, purely active scouting. So, driving crazy, the tracked passive scouts, the normal light tanks, whereas the British wheel medium tanks or armored cars rather competes with the Leopard 1s, the CS63s. They have no armor, yada yada, but they're not really that fast compared to the Leopard 1s, or that mobile in a sense. They do have better dispersion with the turret traverse or hull traverse, but that is practically it. They don't have that much health. The alpha penetration as well as the actual damage are practically the same, so only 10 more than the Leopard 1, but Leopard 1 has better penetration, so I don't see the gimmick. I don't see the actual niche or speciality with these vehicles. I mean, granted, they are faster than stuff like the Centurion or E50M, but they have no health. They have no armor, so the firepower is not that crazy. They don't have an autoloader to deal with, so what's the point? So rather than going through all the vehicles and all the stats, I've compiled a summary of all the playstyles and should you play them in a sense. But these are pretty generic, these are pretty bland, there are no outliers out of the whole tech tree. So there's no Giro to mess up the grind. God, this vehicle is terrible. So there are no Giros, there are no BZ68, which is the actual fun vehicle out of the whole tech tree compared to the tier 10, the BZ75. BZ75 is not as fun. Gigantic ass cupola compared to non-cupola. Obviously, the tier 9 is more fun, but there's no outlier in the British wheel vehicles. They all feel about the same, lack of armor, pretty much driving around and trying to snipe without DPM, so same playstyle for most of them other than tier 7, but let's go through the stats summary. So I've compiled all the super tests as well as comparison. So finally, Wargaming saw how the tier 8 and tier 9 were terrible because they have lack of ammo. They actually buffed it. So originally the lower tiers have about the same potential damage as higher tiers, about 7,500 or so. So it's not bad for lower tiers, but kind of garbage for tier 8 and tier 9. So this is a messed up page. Original comparison wasn't there against the newer stats page, but I'll mention the actual difference. There's not that much difference, not really. So tier 7 might be the best as a scout, but they change the actual suspension repair time. Originally it was only 10 seconds to repair the actual tires, but now it's 25. About the same as the Hotchkiss, so tier for tier, it's about the same as the EBR line, but nothing crazy. So originally for the Saladin, it has 30 rounds of a 90mm. So Wargaming got wise and actually buffed it, thank God. But currently, onto tanks.gg, the FV601 Saladin has 50 rounds compared to the original 30, so thank God. The same thing applies to the tier 9, the GSOR 1006. So now it has 40 rounds of the 105 compared to 20 rounds of the 105. So thank God the stock grind on the tier 9 and tier 8 is not horrendous, thank God. But yeah, only the changes are minimal. They changed some of the stuff like credits per shell and other stuff, but small facts. They actually changed the horsepower per ton ratio on the tier 9 slightly, but not much. So it went from 24.38 to 24.32. Small changes, but they actually buffed the tier 10 with better repair for your tires. So slight detail, but yeah, the changes are minimum other than the amount of ammo you can carry on tier 9 and tier 8. But quick summary. So practically they have the pros of aim time, accuracy, dispersion, turret traverse, mobility, but sucks in DPM, armor, HP, camo at higher tiers, only a 3-man crew, so no loader for intuition or safe stowage, and no radio operator for situational awareness. So you had to deal with not having switching of high explosive rounds, and they don't have that good of a high explosive too. So regular high explosive, not a squash head, unfortunate, but it seems pretty bland of a whole tech tree. I mean, the most fun might be the tier 7. You could play as a scout, but maybe the premium? Also, they changed the tech tree starting point from the at tier 5 into the Cruiser Mark 4. So originally it was from the tier 5 into a segue into the armored cars, but now it's from the tier 4. So if you wasted XP on the Covenanter, then unfortunate, you have to free XP that into the Cruiser Mark 4. But then again, it was super test, so no guarantees, unfortunate. And from lower tier to higher tier, it gets better alpha damage, better accuracy, better view range, but all the camo goes down. So camo goes down, the aim time, gun arcs, traverse, health, or horsepower per ton ratio, or armor all stay about the same. Surprisingly how the camo goes down, but then again, the vehicles gets bigger. So yeah, the best camo is at the tier 7, go down to freaking 10.43 for the tier 10. That is utter crap. So why would you play the tier 10 compared to a Leopard 1, right? I mean, Leopard 1s are better DPM, dramatically better DPM, as well as good accuracy, aim time. They have better penetration too at 270 or something, but just 10 less alpha for the difference. It's also faster in a straight line. So I don't know how I feel about these vehicles. There are no outliers. There are no actual well performers out of the whole line. They feel about generic as you can get, but it is World of Tanks, not World of Maps, right? Constant number 5. Compare this with the Leopard 1. I mean, Leopard 1 is one of my favorite. It is great for Onslaught or original ranked. Leopard 1s are more accurate, faster to aim, more DPM by 600 almost, better penetration by 18mm, but has a faster shell velocity. But this thing has better dispersion, not as fast. It goes backwards pretty quick. Less health, and worse terrain resistance, worse gun arc, worse view range, faster turret traverse. Ooh la la, but yeah, why would you play this thing compared to a Leopard 1, right? So yeah, these lines are generic, but like I said, World of Tanks, more tanks, yay. But then again, there are map reworks, so that's a plus, but yeah, I don't really want to go through each and every one of them. It will take a long ass time. I rated them originally based on their original stats, but tier 5 seems about the same, about 5 out of 10. Tier 6, maybe 6 out of 10. I mean, it might be the best with DPM to actual health pool ratio in a sense, but it still could play a crumb. So FSV, this might be the funnest. I might change this, mostly because the camo on the tier 7. So for the tier 7, it has the best camo at 18.3. So compare this to the tier 10, obviously a lot better, but you could potentially be a scout at this point. So play as a Boresque at tier 7, hopefully, but obviously all of them should have a rammer, optics, and turbocharger for that matter, but yeah, this could become a scout in a pinch. Otherwise, yeah, you could play as a sniper, but 75mm is not really that great of a sniper in a sense. You don't punch that hard. So, oof. Tier 9 and Tier 8 has a lot better rating, mostly because better ammo count. Yeah. Large, horrendously bad lack of ammo. 30 rounds of a 90. Oh, yeah, they changed that, thank God. But they still feel about 5.5 to a 5 rating out of 10. So you do have more ammo, but there are vehicles that does what it do a little bit better, right? So I think they need a gimmick. At least an autoloader or something. Or at least a good hash round. But otherwise, they feel about the same from the super test. I wouldn't say they're broken compared to other tech tree. So they all feel about generic as it could get. There are no outliers. There are no bad vehicles out of the whole tech line. So you could play them for fun. But like I said, we get 4 tech tree this year, so that's a plus compared to regularly 1 or 2. But some vehicles are better than others, like the Cheeto SPG. So this is a lot better than the freaking Giro. God, this is a piece of crap. The Tier 9 is a lot better than the freaking Tier 8. Tier 8 has a cupola weak spot as well as a smaller gun compared to the premium 𝗪𝗺𝗵𝗲𝗍. So, God. There are upsides, there are downsides. At least there's a variance of playing the whole tech line. Whereas playing the whole British wheel medium tanks, they feel about the same, right? I mean, mostly the lack of alpha might be a problem at lower tiers, but Chinese rocket heavy tanks, tier 7 feels a little bit better, mostly because the cupola is a lot smaller than the tier 8. This cupola is huge. Also, tier 9 is better than the tier 10, mostly because cupola is a lot smaller compared to the freaking BZ75. God, the freaking cupola is gigantic on this thing. You see the freaking cupola size? There's 2 of them with the freaking gun support or gun space in the middle. All weak spots, all garbage. So, well, there you go, folks. A quick summary of the British wheel medium tanks. Also, I forgot to mention, but it looks like the grind is relatively bland as well, but might be a little bit higher for the XP to research the next vehicle. So usually it's about 20,000 for a tier 6. So blueprints might be a better option. The guns are mostly unnecessarily unrelated to the medium tanks or the heavy tanks. So you have to research the guns as well as the engines. So you have to research everything. Great. That's unfortunate. There is a share stock gun on the tier 7 to the tier 8. So you might want to grind this gun, the 75mm, on the tier 7 before you grind it on the tier 8. Helps out with the stock grind, but that's a small detail. Only 17,000. And from the tier 9 to the tier 10, grind the turret, grind the gun with a freaking 90mm. God, that sucks. As well as you needing the, you don't need the turret or don't need the tires for the turret. That's interesting. That's a plus if that's the case. But 225,000 XP. So if you play World of Tanks long enough, just use blueprints at this point. You don't have to grind the whole tech line. So reroll your daily missions for blueprints, and they basically give you like 20,000 per blueprint. So reroll for blueprint. Please give me a blueprint. And it's credit book, okay? But there you go, folks. The British wheeled boom and zoom. They don't feel that great. They don't feel that interesting. So you might as well play with the Leopard 1s or the CS63s. But I mean, World of Tanks, like I said, not World of Maps. But as always, thank you guys for watching this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I wouldn't recommend this as your first tech tree grind. It's not worthwhile. Might as well grind the Leopard 1, right? Might as well grind the Leopard 1. Or even, well, EBRs is a higher skill cap. But yeah, definitely not recommended as a first tech line in World of Tanks. But if you want a sniper line, then obviously go with the Leopard 1s. Go with the Polish medium tanks, even though they're more of a versatile than actual snipers. But Polish, yeah, only the tier 10 is a sniper. This thing is versatile for the CS59. Snipers, British Centurions are good snipers with DPM too. They're just a little bit slower, but they have a lot more DPM and a lot better hash round. So definitely, Leopard 1 is so good. The only downside to it is you have to go through the Indian Panzer. I mean, Indian Panzer is not bad, but you have to deal with dispersion while moving. So only traverse the turret, not haul. stand still and actually shoot. So that's the only downside, but it gets a lot better on the tier 9 into the tier 10. But there we go, folks. British wheel medium tanks. God, okay, whatever. So we should expect the Japanese heavies coming soon. But as always, thank you guys for watching this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.